So hey guys, I'm back with another video. So today's video is just going to be a Chioma Chats video, not necessarily based on anything relevant or anything going on or a viral story. This is just going to be a personal recount of something that I dealt with. And so I never really talk about many personal things because I just feel like social media can be so mean and so cruel, and I oftentimes just want to keep my personal life out of it, because back when I was a vlogger, people would make so many comments about everything that I did, and now that I have a bigger following, I just know that people would make even worse comments, and I might be cut out for that, because trust me, I'll be snapping and I have an attitude and I will go back and forth with anybody, but some things are just better left unsaid. So about a year ago, I was dealing with a situation with a guy, right? And I know I have not really talked much about guys and dating in terms of exactly what goes on with me, and I always seem to be giving advice, and I give really good advice, okay? I always tell myself that I give good advice, but I also feel like a lot of us give great advice about guys and relationships, but we don't take our own advice. And I just want to be real with you guys. I will be the first to tell you girls to leave a guy. Don't talk to him. If you see any red flags, leave him after the first slide. Make sure that he actually is into you, you know, all of these things. And that's great, right? But I also have to be real. Like, as a human being, as a woman, as a female, we do give a lot of advice that we don't take ourselves. So I wanted to give you guys a little backstory, because I feel like I've not necessarily finally came to the realization. I came to the realization a long time ago about my situation with one specific person, but I finally feel comfortable enough to talk about it on YouTube to thousands of people. So I didn't break my video down into any specific talking points. I'm really just speaking from the heart, and I'm gonna recount something that I wrote because I had to get all my thoughts out. So I'm just gonna speak on the whole story, give you guys some background, give you guys some advice, and I also want you guys to help me, because I've been so down thinking about this situation, and I really do need the help of my queen team to support me in this very low and depressed moment that I'm feeling. So when I was in high school, I went to this fair with my friend. It was like the county fair, and there was a lot of black people. I went to a predominantly white school, so any chance that we got to like see some niggas for real, we would go, whether it was basketball game, track meet, wherever it was. If we would go downtown or inner city and stuff, we would go. I used to go to like the city every day after school where I grew up at, and it was like not really the best or smartest thing to do, but I mean, as a 15, 16-year-old, a lot of girls do it, and I'm not excusing it, but be real, that's just what a lot of girls doing, sneaking to go hang out with guys at a young teenage age. We would do that, and oftentimes when the fair came around, we knew this was like our high point to go and talk to guys and get to know guys and stuff like that, and that's what I did. Like, I remember the fair came around, and me and my homegirl Amari, we went and we decided to go on this whole like, oh, we're gonna talk to all these guys and get their numbers, and so be it. So the night came, we went to the fair. I was literally 17. This was like 2014. I met this guy. I don't want to say his name, so I'll just make up a fake name. We'll just call him Tank, okay? Because I just can't think of anything else, and it's like 1 o'clock in the morning. So Tank and I pretty much hit it off. I mean, I didn't really talk to any of the other guys' numbers that I got, but I talked to him, and we were together for a good little bit. And honestly, he was like my first everything, like sexually, all of that. Like, he was my first. He taught me a lot of stuff about myself, and he wasn't really the best. He did like initially lie to me about whether he had a license, if he was in school, what he was doing. And I understand the little hood nigga type of vibe where you just want to tell a girl what she wants to hear. And at the time I was young, so that type of stuff excited me, especially coming from a predominantly white school and area and not really having that type of excitement. So that type of stuff turned me on, even though now if a guy who's quote unquote hood tried to talk to me, I wouldn't even like, no. Like, just because, no. So I started dating him, and I would hang out with him all the time. I would lie to go hang out with him. Him and I hung out all the time, like literally almost every day after school. And he really seemed like he liked me. And I know he did, but I don't think he was in the position to respect me. And that was the crazy part of everything. But, you know, I gave myself up to him sexually and in other ways. And everything was going good for like a solid 2.5 months until, of course, there was just a way that I found out that he was dealing with another girl, and I just cut him off and stopped talking to him. And then maybe about a year-ish later, right before I got to college, because this was like the beginning of my senior year of high school, that's when he hit me back up, and we started like kind of dating again for like the last month before I went off to college. And then things kind of fizzled out because I wanted to go to college and be a hot girl for real. So that's kind of how that ended. So we stopped talking for like a good 2 years, from like 2015 to 2017, but we stayed in contact every so often, but we were never like officially dating. And then 2017 rolls around, and this is like fall 2017, and he he wanted to like come back and get back with me. And at this point, I'm living in Toledo like I am now, Toledo, Ohio. And he hits me up like, you know, I want to come out there. I want to do what we were supposed to do back when we were in high school. And, you know, I'm grown now. I'm older. You're older. We've had some time apart. And, you know, I was kind of in a position where I was getting out of a really bad situation, a really abusive, very toxic situation with somebody. And I hate when a girl is at her lowest point with a guy. And so she kind of like is blindsided and accepts significantly less than what she deserves, all in hopes of replacing the guy who did her wrong. And I feel like I've been in that position so many times, you know? And so I was like, yeah, you can come and you can come with me and that's fine. But things didn't end up working out that moment because he had gotten into some trouble legally, so he says. And I actually started talking to somebody else, and then me and that person, we actually still are friends, but we don't talk like on a romantic level. And once that was kind of said and done, he started dating this white girl, Tank. And I kind of left it at that because, like, when I was done talking to that other guy, I'm like, okay, Tank, like, you know, you want to come? And he's like, oh, well, I'm dating somebody else. And I only say white girl not because I have any problems with white girls. I'm really not like that. I know I talk a lot about race relations on my channel, but honestly, I'm not the type of girl who just wants to sit up here and hate light-skinned girls and white girls and mixed girls. Like, I'm really for forming a good alliance between any women. Okay, women, period. My channel is really for women, but specifically black women, obviously. He was like, you know, I'm dating this girl now. Like, you weren't there when I wanted you. And I respected that and I let it go. And that was like into 2018. So then towards the middle to end of 2018, like when school started back up around August of 2018, which was about a year ago, he hit me up and he was kind of like, you know, me and her didn't work out. I really want you. I've been knowing you since we were 17. I love you. You and I were our first everything. Well, at least I was. I don't know about him. But, you know, I want you. Can I come? So I made the conscious decision to let him come stay with me. Now, I have preached on this channel, you can't give these niggas shit until they earn it. Like, I've said that how many times, but that definitely wasn't the case. And the sad part was I was so happy this time last year. Like, I was the happiest I had ever been. My channel was doing good. I felt like I was finally like happy, stable. My business had just launched and things were just looking up for me. I was going into my 4th year of college and I just thought everything was going well. And I kind of felt like the only thing I was missing was a boyfriend, or, you know, because I hadn't really been in a serious relationship with anyone other than him from high school up until this point. So I let him come stay with me, and it just wasn't what I thought it was gonna be. Because honestly, when you really are up and you're taking care of a guy in, not even in every way that you can, but just taking care of a guy, period. Honestly, men, not every man, but some men do get complacent, and that's exactly what happened. And the sad part is I knew what type of guy I was getting with. I know I speak on my channel about making sure that you are practicing hypergamy in some way, shape, or form, but I just personally feel like if a guy makes less than you or is not as up as you, that doesn't necessarily mean that you guys aren't going to be in a happy relationship. But I feel like a lot of us girls go into a situation knowing a guy just has significantly less, and we think that whatever we're doing can help inspire him or change him, and that's not the case. When you know a guy's a bum, he's going to stay a bum. A zebra doesn't change his stripes. So we dated, and, you know, he was living with me every day. You know, we were in the same house every day. And because of this situation, like, I kind of never want to live with a guy again unless I'm like serious, because I already have an issue with like sharing, but like I just didn't like the whole idea of I'm getting up and going to college every day. I have an internship. I work. I do YouTube. I make wigs. I have businesses. I know so many people. I have my life pretty much planned, and you're doing nothing but being here and kind of just taking up space. And I just wasn't happy. I mean, I'm living in an apartment. I have roommates. We're in this 1-bedroom. You know, we have our own bathroom, our own walk-in closet, our own TV and stuff like that. But still, like, I just didn't like it. Like, I just didn't like being in a situation. And soon I realized I wasn't happy. It wasn't that I wasn't happy being with him. I just didn't like the way how he was. Like, trust and believe, to this day, I feel like if he was the best version of himself, I would be happy with that. But he's not, and he's not going to be, which I've obviously come to. We were arguing one night 2 months into it, so it's now like November. And it was about money because I had let him use my debit card. And it wasn't that I was just letting him spend my money. Like, I would tell him like, hey, can you go get groceries? Hey, can you go get gas? Hey, can you do this, that, and the third? That's how it was. And he kind of just had my debit card. And it was kind of convenient at one point, like not having to really lift a finger because he would get up and do it. He would take me to class. He would pick me up from class, take me to internship. He would pretty much drive me everywhere. Obviously, he's driving my car. You know I made a comment like a guy be in your car. And I was talking about myself. Like I be throwing shots at myself, y'all. Trust and believe. Sometimes I have to cross-check myself too when I make some of these videos. But I'm only speaking because of the experiences that I've had. And I don't want anybody to feel as low as I have felt and I've been feeling. You know, I just want that to kind of just go over in my videos. So one night I was on the phone with one of my close YouTube friends, Susan, Susu, pretty Susu. Shout out to my girl. And she was just telling me like, Chioma, you shouldn't be in this relationship. You're not happy. A man should be doing more than that. And not just a man, but anybody should be doing more than what he was doing. And he's not. So Chioma, you need to make a decision. I'm like, yeah, you're right. And so he kind of overheard us talking. I did not know he was home. He came up the steps real quiet and he opened the door and I'm like in mid-conversation. So I quickly ended the conversation with Susan and the argument just got so bad to the point where like things got really toxic, very violent, and on both of our ends, you know, and I was being very, very, very belligerent. Like I tell people, like I'm cool and all, but when I get mad, I get mad and I don't get mad often. I know I be snapping on this YouTube and my voice is very passionate, but I don't get mad. I get pissed off and I snap, but I don't get mad. So when I do get mad, it's really bad. And he ended up leaving that night. And I just thought like, okay, the argument is an argument. He'll eventually like come back in a couple days after we cool off. We can talk about it and we can like move on. And the reason why I was so mad about the money was because, you know, I'm taking care of everything myself, but I'm also feeding you. And yes, my parents, well, my dad pays half my rent, but I pay the other half from my YouTube. I pay all my own bills. I pay for gas. I pay for everything. And I had just got like a good payment from YouTube, not like my monthly check, but like a sponsorship. So I'm thinking like, oh, I have some money. So I go to order me some Uber Eats and I'm like, let me just check my account. Like for no reason, I just checked my account and I'm like, how do I not have that much money? Like, why do I have like $80 in my account when I should have like well into the hundreds, like $600+ in my account right now? And I look and I'm looking at all the transactions and he keeps taking things out via ATM cash, which girls, that is a red flag. If a guy, even though he shouldn't be using your debit card, but if he's taking money out and it's all cash withdrawals, there's a problem because he's not trying to let you track what he's doing. And I realized that quick, fast, in a hurry. So when I started going off and asking him like, why did you spend money on this? Why'd you do this? Why'd you do this? He couldn't give me no like real answer. Like he was just very nonchalant. So of course I got upset. When he left that night, I really thought he'd come back, but he didn't come back. And to make a long story short, I found out that he actually went to go, he stayed with one of his friends for like a couple of days. And then I ended up popping up to the friend's house at like 3 in the morning with my other friend. And they basically was like, oh, bro code, we're not going to tell you so much, but if you come back tomorrow and go to the girls that live next door, you go to their house, they'll tell you more. So I did. And those girls pretty much told me everything that I needed to know, that he had been trying to fuck with one of them, trying to fuck on one of them. I don't know. A whole bunch of stuff that literally I was shocked because for somebody to be with you every day, living with you every day, in the bed with you every day, doing all that stuff, you would never think that they just live this Hannah Montana second double life. So I ended up getting in contact with a girl that he was staying with, and she was like, yeah, girl, you can come pop up and I'll just act like we're about to go to the store, and when he comes outside, you can come outside and we can confront him. And that ended up going so left because when I got there, and obviously I came with my friends, it turned into like a big fight. And that girl, that white girl, ended up macing me, which was so crazy because at first she tried to make it seem like she was on my side, but she was defending this man so much, like, I'm gonna be in his life now and blah, 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 blah. And I'm like, you haven't even known him 3 weeks. Like, he's literally using you. He's sitting in your house because I kicked him out of my house. Like, that's how this is going. I ended up finding out more stuff. He was actually talking to or having sex with, I don't know, some stripper girl who was also white. Yeah, it was just so much stuff. So it was like that white girl, then the stripper girl, and there was another girl who was the girl who lived in the house next door to his homeboy's house. So it was just a whole bunch of stuff, and I felt so low. This was like December of last year, and I felt so low, like so disgustingly low. I didn't talk to him. I went to Atlanta this time last year in December, just on a break for myself, and I just was kind of like just chilling. And somehow we ended up talking for like 5 hours on the phone on Snapchat because he broke his phone the night that we got into an argument. The phone that I bought, that I paid like $300 for, an iPhone, he shattered it, and the phone was like you couldn't do anything. So he had to like jug off of the phone that he came up to Ohio with, which was some like random cheap Android. And he legitimately just was very apologetic. Like, I obviously apologized for the things that I did, because I'm leaving out the fact that when I did get maced, obviously that made me mad. And when I'm mad and a woman scorned will do anything. So I kind of spent that entire week going back and forth to that white girl's house and kind of terrorizing them. I'm not gonna lie. The night that we got into it, the first day, I saw that a lot of the clothes and shoes that I had bought him, technically I bought them because it was with my money, were in her house. And obviously that's gonna make any girl mad. So I started taking everything back. And I wasn't really gonna do anything. I wasn't even gonna touch his stuff. And when I pulled up to her house and I came into the house, I get to the bottom of her staircase and I see him, and he looks at me and he was just like, oh, so you're just gonna let this bitch in? And I'm just like, in the 4 years that I've known you, you've never called me out of my name. Like, you've always been a pretty well-mannered guy. I mean, he's from the South, so usually those guys are pretty well-mannered. So I was just so confused. Like, I was just so hurt. So obviously I just saw red. I started taking his stuff, and my friends were actually the ones that kind of helped me burn the stuff. Like, I literally burned it. And then I came back and I delivered the package with the burnt clothes. Like, yes, it was crazy and very childish. But like I said, a woman scorned does a lot. Like, there's nothing that a woman scorned will not do. I'm not saying it's acceptable. I wouldn't actually advise it, but it was something that I did out of rage and out of anger. I didn't talk to him for a while, and then when I got to Atlanta, he was talking to me because we were going through some things, obviously, and he ended up apologizing. I ended up apologizing for my part of everything, and we decided to kind of just see if we could work this all out. And it sounds so stupid because it's like, Chioma, he cheated on you with not one, not two, but 3 different people. God only knows how other many people. He disrespected you in the house of the girl that he was shacking up with after you put him out. He's been using your money, doing all this stuff, and you still want to work it out? And I'm just like, damn, like, you're just so dumb. Like, how could you be so stupid? When I think back, like, hindsight, like I say, is always 20/20. When I came back from Atlanta, I met him. His friend dropped him off to the airport. And he's from Virginia, so we were going to just go to Virginia so he can kind of like leave Ohio. But honestly, y'all, I was kind of done with him, obviously, but like, I wasn't. I wanted him to leave me alone. I wanted him to leave Ohio. I wanted him to get out of my apartment, but I just didn't know how. So we were like, okay, let's just get a rental car and we can drive all the way to Virginia and I'll fly back. And that didn't work out because I don't have a credit card. That didn't work out, and I wasn't getting paid for like another 2 weeks. So he kind of just stayed in my house for 2 weeks. And like I said, we were going through something like really personal, and I just feel like, okay, let me just see what we can do and try and work this out, because essentially everyone deserves a second chance, but he didn't. But back then you couldn't really tell me anything. So it's now like January when this is all happening of this year. I'm trying to work things out, and things were going pretty good because he started acting better. I guess he figured out like why he was so wrong, and things were okay. And I went with him back to Virginia. We flew back to Virginia on my dime. And if anybody knows, to fly to Norfolk, Virginia is really not cheap because it's not like the biggest, most known city. So it was very kind of expensive for both of us to go, luggage and all that, rental car once we got there and things of that nature. So when I got back to Virginia, I did end up meeting his mom, and I had already kind of talked to like his sister, but I finally met his mom, and his mom was so excited to meet me, and she was very nice, very honest, very outspoken. I still love and respect her to this day because she said some things to me over the past like year that even my own mother wouldn't say to me, because I mean, obviously there's a different type of dynamic when you have an African parent like me versus, you know, a Black American parent like her. So there was some different things that she told me that I really did respect. We were still pretty cool, but once he got back to Virginia and I went back to Ohio, everything kind of started bringing back up again. Like, I started feeling like there gotta be another girl. You gotta be dealing with something else, because his commitment through communication just wasn't the same. I remember come March, it was spring break, and I decided to go back to Virginia to be with him. And I get to Virginia, everything's cool. We're having a good time. We're dating. We're going on dates, things like that. Mind you, he don't have no job. He don't have no high school diploma. He don't have a driver's license. He doesn't have money. I am dating the bummiest of the bum. But I loved him because I respected him, and I loved him for him and not for what he had, which I do think is important, but not to this extent. Okay, ladies, definitely not to this extent. I still had a good time during my spring break, and I literally felt like this was the best that our relationship had been in a while, even though I kind of felt like something was going on. One of the days we were in the Airbnb, obviously on my dime, I decided to go through his phone. And they say when you lurk, you get your feelings hurt, and they never lied. He's in the shower, and I'm going through his phone, and I'm pretty much just seeing him like text a whole bunch of other girls that he wants to be with them, and he's trying to work things out and get things together so he can be with them. I'm just like, how could you be saying this when I'm literally laying in the bed next to you? Like, I'm in the bed with you. Like, we literally just had sex, and you're telling other girls this, like, but I just kind of kept it to myself. Like, I didn't know what to say because I only saw a little bit. So throughout the remainder of the trip, every single time he would go into like the gas station while we were in the car, or he left his phone, I would literally go through it and I would just find more and more stuff. And I realized his messages were just so redacted. Like, I feel like I didn't see as many threads as the normal person would have in their cell phone. But I didn't say anything until the last day of my trip when I was going back to Ohio. We were in the airport. I made sure that we got there like hours before my flight because I was trying to talk to him throughout the trip, like at least the last part of the trip, but I just couldn't because I was around family and things like that. So I spoke to him and I kind of just said, like, why would you say all that knowing like we're going through so much? And I had just had a recent tragedy in my life, and if one person goes through something and you're dating someone, the other person feels for you. So I mean, technically it was the both of us, and I'm like, how is it weeks after this and you're literally telling other girls that you want to be with them, and you know how hurt I am right now about everything that I'm dealing with when it comes to school, my life, my channel, my job, my career, what I'm going to be doing, all that stuff, and you just don't care. Like, you just don't give a damn. Like, and I'm literally in the airport crying. And if anybody knows me, I don't cry. I can get emotional. I can get upset. Like I said, I can get snappy and have an attitude and pop off. But crying, breaking down crying is just not something that I usually do. It's not really like a Chioma thing. Like, I don't know. I'm not saying I don't have emotions. I'm just saying it's not something that I really do. He was kind of remorseful, but at the same time, he kind of seemed annoyed that I was crying publicly, which anybody would. But he was just like, I'm sorry. Like, that just because I said that doesn't mean I don't love you. I'm like, yeah, but you may love me, but you don't respect me. I've learned that when a guy cheats, he may love you, but he just doesn't respect you. Like, the feeling that he wants to be with you may be there, but he wants his cake and he wants to eat it too. He doesn't respect you. And I'm just like, how could you literally see me cry about something before and then still do the things that I just cried about, you know, a few weeks or a month ago? Like, why would you do that? And I kind of just got on the plane and he was like, I'm sorry. He kissed me and I just went on the plane. I didn't really say nothing. When I got back to Ohio, I was just done. I'm like, I'm not talking to you no more. Like, you just don't get it. Like, you don't understand how most girls are not going to be this down for you. Most girls are not going to give you money for everything that you need and house you and literally save you when you're at your lowest and come let them live with you and come let them inconvenience you, let them drive your car, all that stuff. Like, most girls are not doing that. Any girl with sense and self-esteem and self-confidence is not. And at that moment, I really didn't have it. So March ends, April comes, and it's his birthday at the end of April, and I still felt obligated to go back to Virginia for whatever reason. So I did. And when I got there, this was probably honestly the best we have ever been, but still, like, knowing what I knew before, I was setting myself up to deal with somebody else or just for the worst. But nothing happened this time. I came there, we had a great birthday for him. I bought him a camera that I could be using for my channel that was like $500+. Bought him a camera because he was so adamant about being this photographer and making money, even though he probably hasn't used the camera for real since I bought it back in April and hasn't really done much of any form of business or of photography. Like, he literally is a high school dropout, no GED, no license, no real job. And the crazy part is, when he was with the white girl who he was shacking up with when I had put him out, that girl was working at like UPS, so she was able to get him a job for like a month. So when I was in Atlanta, he did have a job. So he tried to throw it in my face like, oh, I lived with you for 2.5 months and you couldn't get me a job, but she could. And I'm just like, why would you ever say that? Like, I literally had everything lined up for you to get your own job. I shouldn't have to do that. Like, you're grown enough to go get your own job. It's not that hard for a 22-year-old to go get a job at this point, especially when you have nothing but time. You're not in school, you don't have a kid, you don't do anything. You have more than enough time to go get your own job. So when I came there in April, you know, everything was great. His mom obviously loves me. And when I gave him that camera, like, it was like a big thing. Like, he literally bawled in tears. Like, he was like, no girl has ever done this for me before. I love you so much. I'm so sorry for everything I've done. I promise you I will do better. You know, I'm going to marry you one day and all of this stuff. And I'm just like, you know, like, I'm hearing it, but at that point, it's like, I've heard it before. Like, if your actions aren't going to match, I'm not going to believe you. But just to save face in front of his whole family, like, you know, I was very like into it and playing along with everything. Not that I didn't want it to be true, but I just kind of already knew the background of the whole situation. Like, obviously, this is my relationship. So when I got back to Ohio, I kind of just like was like, okay, it's summertime, school's over. It's a hot girl summer. So Meg Thee Stallion was hot and I was doing hot girl summer stuff. I'm not saying I was out here thotting and bopping, but I'm just saying I was having fun. Like, kind of told him, like, I don't want to be with you anymore. You're like a bad person to me. And he was so sad. Like, I'll do anything. I don't care if it takes me 2 years. I'm going to make sure I get back with you. And I love you and I want to be there and blah, 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 blah. And I didn't really pay it any mind. Like, I just really had like a fun hot girl summer, and I was single and I did fun stuff. And not gonna lie, like, I did mess with another guy. Like, we didn't end up having sex or anything, but we did flirt and stuff like that. And I was happy. Like, usually when you try to move on from a guy that you've been with for so long or you've grown comfortable to, it's kind of this weird guilty feeling that you have when you are trying to entertain someone else, because you feel like you're either breaking somebody's trust or you're not being loyal. But I was fine. Like, I kind of just said, you know what, if I can move on to another guy, then I'm over this guy. And that was just me covering how I was really feeling, because I was essentially doing it because I wanted to get over him and not because I was actually over him. We still kind of periodically spoke throughout the summer, but nothing really serious. We didn't call each other babe, baby, none of that. It was kind of like a, how are you? How are you doing? You know, I'm just checking on you type of thing, until like school came back around again this year, and it's August, and I knew I didn't want him to come stay with me. I did not want to repeat what I had went through last school year. I was just like, no, this is my last year of college. I really want to finish. I really want to do the right thing. But he insisted that he was going to come and do better. And so I put the opportunity on the table, like, look, you can do that, but I'm not going to let you come here unless you really are doing it, like consistently doing it. I need to see like 2-3 months worth of job. I need to see the GED. I need to see everything before you can ever think that you're going to have another chance with me. And even so, you have a lot of work to do before I would ever make you and I like a thing again. And it sounds very stupid, because it's like, Chioma, look at what he just did all this time. And yes, it was stupid, but he didn't end up coming back, obviously. And so I kind of just got to a point where I just felt kind of low, like very low, not kind of low, but very low. I felt sad. I felt depressed. I felt ugly. I felt unwanted. I felt undesired. And I'm sitting here on YouTube telling girls, like, you know, love yourself, or, you know, don't let niggas do this, and, you know, fuck niggas and whatnot. And it was kind of true, because I was on that. Like, I definitely was turning niggas down left and right. I was not dealing with my ex for a while. Like, it had been strictly a platonic friendship for months at this point. So I felt like I'm doing good. Like, I'm preaching the right message and I'm following my message, but part of me felt so guilty for not giving him that other chance. So I kind of just like went with my gut feeling and just left it at that. And I ended up, you know, just feeling really mentally unstable when it came to him. And I just left it at what it was. I just kind of deleted him from all my social media, deleted him from my everything, my phone, social media, Facebook, Twitter, Snapchat, Instagram, everything. And I didn't talk to him for like 2 weeks until I just felt sick. Like, I felt so sick. I knew something was wrong with me. And I'm not a sad person. I've never been depressed. I don't really deal with anxiety. But I started to realize, Chioma, you're depressed. Like, you're really depressed. And it wasn't just him. It's been a lot of things going on with me. So when I did take that little break from YouTube that you guys noticed, that's why, okay? Not just him, but him plus a whole bunch of other stuff. Graduation. What am I going to do when I graduate? What's going on with me? Academics, finals, stress, just so many things that a lot of college students go through when they're in that home stretch. And I just didn't know what to do but take a break from social media, take a break from YouTube, obviously, which is my job. I wouldn't even do my hair. Like, I would wear my scalp because, you know, I want my 4C hair to flourish. But I wouldn't do my hair. I wasn't making wigs. I wasn't doing sponsorships. I wasn't doing anything. And this is not like me. Like, I'm usually a pretty happy person. And I just felt so low and so ugly. So I eventually ended up going onto his Facebook and recently found out he's actually dating / talking to / in a relationship / fucking, I don't know, another white girl. And the only reason why I'm putting emphasis on white girls is because every single time him and I were not together, literally, it would be a white girl. So it makes me feel like, are you even attracted to me? Do you really love me for me? Do you find me pretty? Do you think I'm sexy? Do you think I'm attractive or not? Like, are you just using me because, you know, I'm a doormat and that's how a lot of black men operate, and you really have this emphasis and this hierarchy of white women, or what? Like, I just feel like if every other girl doesn't look like me, then I am the outlier. I am the outcast. I am the oddball. That shit just really hurt. Like, I was done, and I'm done. I haven't really spoke to him in over a month, and I got on Facebook today and I just started writing, and I want to read you guys what I wrote about the situation and how I'm feeling about him. So it says, I feel so lied to, and it just hit me yesterday. I held this man down when he didn't have anything. According to him, his own family wasn't much help to him either. I've bent over backwards to be a financial, mental, and emotional support for over a year. Even before then, I can't even believe myself. I let him play me, lie, cheat, and I was still there. I still gave him the option to come back where I lived and even got him a job, which he never took. Then yesterday, I found out that he's been dating / talking to / entertaining a whole other girl all this while. But before I had to go into the hospital, all he kept telling me was that he was going to come back to me, move back in, have a job, and make things work again. And I stupidly believed it after all the BS I had already went through. Some guys are so toxic and so inconsiderate. You can do everything. Put yourself on hold, take mental hits, spend money, even put yourself in legal BS just to show you are quote unquote down for a man. He can still do you dirty as hell and choose another girl over you. Even his own mom told me I don't deserve to be putting up with this multiple times. She told me to leave. And I did for a while, which was over the summer, but I never detached myself. I never post my personal business on social media, but at this point, I just don't know how to handle all this built up anger and hurt. I don't think I'll ever be this good to a guy or ever be this down to a man again, or at least not for a while. And I never got an explanation, never got a sorry, never a real apology, never got anything. Couldn't even be real enough to admit that he was wrong or tell me he was entertaining someone else. And even though it would have hurt to know, I would have respected him so much more just for being real. I have to get on Facebook and find out. And funny thing is, every time we weren't together, he got with the same type of girl. This girl is literally a carbon copy of all the other types of girls he dealt with every time him and I weren't together. No disrespect to her, but just being real. And just a little side note, meaning the girl's the type of white girl that dates black guys and thinks she can say the N-word. That's how all the girls were. And those are like the most hated types of white girls that I hate. You know, I hate those girls who think just because you're with a black guy, you have to have this black scent and act like you're down and all this stuff. And I just really hate it because it's like, be yourself, be real. Like, you don't have to act nigga, okay? I was going to have this man's kid. I pictured a family and all of that. I sacrificed my life to do all this stuff out of love. I was to pay for him to go back to school and get a GED, get a license, bought him a DSLR camera on his birthday to help him start a photography business, and still nothing. No loyalty, no appreciation, no actions, just disrespect and treating me like I haven't been the only consistent girl who truly loved you for you. Never really asked you for anything but to be loyal and respectful to me and do better for yourself. That's all I wanted. He never did anything. All promises broken, all hopes gone. Some may say I'm dumb, and you're right. I am dumb for dealing with this for as long as I did and turning a blind eye to the BS. I saw the best in him even when everyone around me and some people in his family told me to do better. I can't believe someone as smart, beautiful, and as talented as myself was doing all this for a quote-unquote man who can't even help me out and put $50 on my light bill. I had to go to the hospital for mental help and get therapy because of him, and he didn't even call or acknowledge what I've been going through at the hands of him. He could never act like he didn't do anything to me because deep down, he knows it. Ladies, if you're dealing with toxic, just leave. It's easier said than done, but you're going to end up more hurt holding on to a man's potential who has never showed you he can be loyal or even give a fuck. I literally feel like shit every day because my body has changed so much. I've lost weight, I've lost out on so much money, and I have this constant reminder that all the time, energy, and true love I gave someone was for nothing. I put up with so much, and he is literally living his best life, not even thinking for 1 second how he has contributed to all the mental depression and insecurity I now have. My advice is this: if a man can't even meet you at the level that you are at in life, don't settle and subject yourself to being his mule and being his mom. Raise your standards and leave him after the first lie, the first hit, the first infidelity, and first everything. Love doesn't hurt. It's not supposed to hurt. I know one day I won't even bat an eyelash over him because someone is going to love me and appreciate me and actually be a man. I'm not going back ever again. I don't hate anyone. I don't like harboring that negative energy, but he's seriously tiptoeing on the lines of hate. As someone who was there for him even when he was in the wrong, to find out he has a serious situation going on when just a month ago he was supposed to be back with me and I was willing to give him that last chance is sickening. I have overlooked so much, but I don't think I can look at his face ever again. The thought of him just disgusts me. His own sister told me that she has never seen him so determined to do better until he was with me, and he'd rather be stagnant, broke, just getting by, and in the same predicament he's been in for years because of what? How many girls are going to stay and deal with what I did and not cheat back, lie back, and be sneaky right back? This man watched me break down in an airport because I found out he was telling other girls he wanted to be with them 2 weeks after I had just faced a big loss and big tragedy. How can someone be so sick and heartless? A lot of guys be rapping about loyalty and a down girl, but when you have one, you treat them like a doormat and expect her to never change. Some girls are currently dealing with depression, hoeing, and or broken, all because she was betrayed by one guy. A simple adult phone call would have alleviated some of this, but he couldn't even do that after I begged him to just talk to me. Never ever trust a person who claims to be a grown man if he is far from one. I know his family or anyone close to him reading this is going to be mad at me because honestly, his brother is a very famous YouTuber, and I'm pretty sure a lot of you guys watch who his brother is, but I'm not going to disclose that. But I'm sorry, I'm just hurt. If you've been hurt like this on multiple occasions, you understand where I was coming from. I feel so played and lied to. I was sending money and support and more, and he was entertaining another girl and was going to move back in with me, and I wouldn't have even known until I just decided to lurk. I guess this is what they mean when they say, well, if you lurk, you get your feelings hurt, because I sure did. But it's cool though. I don't regret how I loved him because someone out there will appreciate it eventually. I hope some of you girls listening to me just learn from me. Just know a zebra, like I said, never changes his stripes. I've been blocking my blessings for so long, and enough is enough. This was long, but please pass along my message to any girl who has been dumb enough to put up with a man's shit for long, but is now smart enough to love herself, want better for herself, and learn from such a toxic situation. So that's pretty much what I wrote on my Facebook, and my Facebook is personal, so please don't try and add me on there. I know some people try to, and I always decline it because I just really want it to be a personal space for me and my family and my friends. This is pretty much how I've been feeling, and I know I talk a lot about, like, you know, girls doing better for themselves and black women leveling up and black women not being like at the bottom of the social ladder, and I feel like I kept putting myself in that predicament. And why? I don't know. Like, I just feel like I really loved somebody for them. Like, I didn't care about what he had and what he didn't have and those types of things, because, you know, sometimes when you really love someone and it's genuine, those types of things just don't matter to you. Like, you just want to be happy with someone who, because, you know, at some points when I was at my lowest, he was there for me, and vice versa. Obviously it didn't work out, and I just don't plan on I'm not going back. Like, I can't go back. I can't be Queen Chioma preaching this, that, and the third to these young black beautiful women on my channel who support me and be doing the complete opposite. So I do want to apologize, you know, for being like you know, just not consistent in some of the things that I've preached, because, you know, it's hard when you really love someone and they don't do you the way how you think they're going to do you, or they do you how you think they're not going to do you. But I want to be a better role model, because I don't think it's fair to act in the way that I have. But, you know, I'm human and I made a huge mistake and I've dealt with it. And I really hope that I get to a point where I don't have to like think about him or think about this in the way that I have. This is someone who's been in my life since I was 17. I'm 22, 5 years dealing with somebody on and off. That's a long time. It's hard to just let that go, but it is what it is. Like, I'm sorry, but I'm a bad bitch. Like, I'm not dealing with that. Like, the fuck? Like, because no. Like, I always say, because no. And a lot of you guys who watch me and support me have honestly helped me come to this point. When I see the love and the support that I get on here, even though I get some negative comments, but I really try to tune those out. I get a lot of love and support, and people are always saying, like, your videos help me so much. And I'm just like, damn, my videos need to help me too. Like, I'm the one making the video. And I want to make sure that my content and my reputation stays that way. I don't want anybody to think like, oh, Queen Chioma be talking all this, but look at what she's dealing with. And you're right. If you do say that, you're right. You're 110% right. And that's just me being real and authentic. So I just want to get this out there because I know somebody is going to be affected by it. And you know, I know I got a little emotional. And I also wanted to just say, like, thank you guys for supporting me. And I know I give a lot of advice, but for once, I just want advice from others. Thank you for listening. If you got to this point in the video, that is it for this video. I hope you guys enjoyed. Follow me on my Instagram, and please share this video on your Facebooks or to whoever, whatever young girl that you know is going through something, even if it's a teenager, someone in their mid-20s, hell, even someone in their 40s, 50s, send it to her, because use my example and use my plate to help you. That's all I'm here for, is to help other people no matter what. So I'll see you guys in my next one. Bye, guys.